So yeah, if you want to add this to the notes that we've already taken, that's fine. It's still part of 5.2. If you want to make a new note, that's fine too.
Is this an easier way or harder?
It's just a different way. It depends on how you. So here's the long division problem I want you to do first. How about this, okay? This is going to remind us of how to do long division and how this, what's called an algorithm, works. Okay, so I want you to do it like this. No calculator. I want you to do it longhand like this. Okay, and show all your steps, use all the room, and do that problem go. So that's the reason why I'm showing you this kind of problem, because the process that we use here is basically the exact same process that we're going to use for polynomials. Our first move is to see how many times 12 goes into 2. It doesn't. How many times does 12 go into 28?
2.
And we know that that's 2, so we put the 2 above the 8. Then what do we do next?
Bring the 24 under the 24.
Whoa, where's 24 come from?
No, you bring down the 4.
12 times 2. Okay, so I have to then multiply. Once I put the number up here, I have to multiply, and that's 24.
You subtract.
Then I subtract,
And you get 4.
and I get 4. Okay?
And you
So,
bring down
hold on. So that process we need to remember, okay? So we see how many times the 12 goes into 28. We put it up top. Let's say you weren't sure how many times it went in. You could always just go 28 divided by 12, all right, and see what you end up with. And on your calculator, you get 2 point something. So you know it has to be 2, okay? Then after you multiply and subtract, we bring down the next number, and that's a 3. And then we repeat the process all over again. 12 goes into 43 3 times. Then I take that 3 and do what with it? Multiply it by 12.
It goes negative 36.
Okay.
36.
It equals 36. Then you subtract, and that gives me 7.
Bring down the 2.
Okay, then we do it again. We bring down the 2. 12 goes into 72 6 times. Multiply, subtract. My remainder is 0. We are done. Okay? So, most of you had that. Okay? Most of you know that algorithm. That's what the process is called, an algorithm. Okay? We are going to use this to do polynomial division. The same idea. Okay? And this is the problem that we're going to work on. We're going to work on a fairly simple one for starters. Okay? Now this is set up, we could have done synthetic, but I want to show you a relatively easy one with long division and show you how it works. So it's going to look the same. The x minus 3 is the divisor, it goes outside. The x squared plus 7x minus 30. Okay? Now, if this skipped from, so the power goes from 2, 1, 0. If it skipped a power, you'd still have to put zeros in here. Okay? Keep that in mind. In long division, it doesn't matter if this is an x or a 3x or a 7x or whatever. We don't have to do anything special in order to do long division, like we did with synthetic division. Like this didn't, like in synthetic division, this has to be an x. For long division, it doesn't have to be like that. Okay? So, here's what we do. And instead of looking at the whole thing, we only look at the front. So we look at the front term and see how many times it goes into that. Okay? So how many times does x go into x squared? Now, let's say you're not sure. Essentially what we're really doing is dividing x squared by x. Which we've done that, right? What is that?
2. 1.
It would just be x. Remember, we subtract the powers. Okay, so this is x to the first. So x squared over x to the first is just x, and then we put it up top. Okay? Once we put a number up there, then what do we do? Nope. As soon as you put a number up top in long division, what do you do with that number? You multiply, correct. So now I have to take x times x minus 3. And notice how I'm writing all my calculations off to the side. That's going to help you keep things straight. Okay, because what is x times x minus the quantity x minus 3?
X squared.
X squared, so I'm distributing, right? And then what is it?
Minus 3x.
Minus 3x. So I'm just distributing that. So then after I do my multiplication, what do we do? Subtract. Now, here's what subtracting really means, and I'm gonna write it a couple different ways. So I'm subtracting this whole thing, which means I'm distributing. And when I distribute, and I'm gonna do this over here too, and then I'll show you the shortcut. When I distribute this minus x, what does it really do, or the minus sign, what does it really do to all the signs on the inside? So like this is positive x squared. So this minus is going to make it negative. This is minus 3x. What is this minus going to do to it? Make it plus. In reality, what this sign can be thought of is the opposite of this. So the opposite of all of that is negative x squared plus 3x. Why is that important? Essentially, when you subtract, you just have to change the signs of all the terms. So I multiply first, okay, and this is the part that you will forget the most. You'll forget to change the signs. So all you've got to do is change both signs, and that is subtracting. And so what ends up happening, like it should, is this front term cancels out. That's what we want to happen. After you multiply, we want these terms to go away. X squared minus x squared is 0. Okay, that's good, that's what we want. 7x plus 3x is what? 10x. So I've done my subtraction now. What do you think I do next? Bring down the negative 30. Now, one of the things I want to point out is if there's more terms than this, so if there's a couple more terms over here after, bring all of them down. Don't just bring the one down. So like when we do regular long division with just plain numbers, we just bring one digit down. In this case, bring all the digits down, all the terms down, okay? So now once we've done that, we start all over again. Okay, so this is why we did that problem before. The process is exactly the same, except instead of going both terms, we just look at the front term. So now I want to look at x into 10x. And again, if you weren't sure, that's 10x divided by x, which is what?
No.
What happens with the x's? They cancel. Okay, so then I'm going to put a plus. I need that plus since it's positive 10. Plus 10 up there. And then I distribute again. 10 times x minus 3. And that goes below. So 10 times x is 10x. 10 times minus 3 is minus 30. And then I have to subtract, which means I really do what? Change the signs. So that's now minus, that's now plus. That cancels, that's actually 0 too, which means it goes in evenly. My remainder is 0. This is my final answer. Okay? X plus 10 is the final answer. This is the remainder.
That was an easy problem?
That was an easy one, yep. Now, one of the things that you guys will want to do sometimes, because you're going to be less solid on long division than you're going to be on synthetic division, is you could do a quick little check just using synthetic division to see if you get the same answer, because you should get the exact same answer. Okay, it's the same problem. All right, questions before we do another one? All right, I'm going to move on. We good? So here's the next problem. A little more complicated, and actually what I want you to do is start it. Try to start it. I'll set it up, and let's just see what you end up with. Okay? That's how it starts. Let's actually do the first part together, and then hopefully that gets you started. So what do you think you need to do first? What are you looking for? What are you checking for? 5b into 15b to the third. That's what you are doing, correct. And then again, if you just write that off to the side, that, whatever you get out of that, which we've done before, that was 5(1), okay, that goes above the 15b cubed. So what is that?
3b squared.
3b squared, very good. Then you gotta multiply. So then again, if you wanna write this off to the side, so I gotta distribute. So what is 3b squared times 5b? 15b to the third, which it should be, right? Because it's supposed to be the same number. And then the 3b squared times minus 4 is negative 12b squared. Then you do what?
Negative positive.
Subtract, so change both signs. Okay, so those cancel like they should. That's 20b squared. Bring everything else down and keep going. So yeah, I'll give you time to finish that now. So next move, let's go with purple. Now I'm looking at how many times is 20b squared divided by 5b, or 5b into 20b squared.
Divided,
Then I'm dividing. That's where the 4b
B
comes from, okay? Then I multiply 4b times 5b minus 4, so I have to distribute. So I get 20b squared minus 16b. Then I have to subtract, which means change the signs. Those cancel like they should. This gives me negative 5b plus 6. Next, again, when I'm checking to see how many times 5b goes into negative 5b, so I do it again, it's negative 5b over 5b. So this negative is from here, this positive is here, and this just gives me negative 1. That goes up there. Then I distribute again. I'm going to write it up here because I'm running out of room. So that's times 5b minus 4. So that's negative 5b plus 4. Then I have to subtract, which means change the signs. That gives me a 2. Okay, and I'm done. I ran out of numbers. So what does 2 indicate?
Remainder.
The remainder. And so what I do is I put that up here, plus 2 over 5b minus 4. So that process of writing the remainder down is the same as it was for synthetic. When you run out of numbers, the very last number is the remainder. Okay? Now, on your quiz tomorrow, you're going to have to show me you know how to do synthetic. You're going to have to show me you know how to do long division. Okay? You have to do both. And then some of the other stuff too that we've been working on. We will go over this homework before the quiz tomorrow.